on to the next book, but not before I tell you all about the Genius of Judy, how Judy Blume rewrote childhood for all of us, by Rachelle Bergstein. Hello, welcome to the Grape Jelly Library. My name is Floss. Over at my channel, we love to talk books and we love to have a good time. Today, we're going to get right into this book. This book is wonderful in the sense that it shines the spotlight on Judy. It tells all about her upbringing, all about her first marriage, raising her two children, about her second marriage, about her trials and tribulations when it comes to her marriages. It's very informative. It shines a well-needed spotlight back on Judy. Back in the 60s and the 70s, that was a time where sex ed was being taught in school, but it wasn't necessarily being spoken about in the homes. It was the 50s. It was clean cut. It was proper. It was a little bit less free until the 60s came along, and then something started to shift. But Judy always felt a need to have questions answered from a very early age. And her mother was a little bit more reserved to herself. So it was her father who had to try and explain to Judy as best as he could about certain things when it came to growing up. So when Judy actually got married, she felt like, she was doing something very grown up. Even though she herself didn't feel grown up, her husband was 6 years her senior. She got to hang around with her husband's older friends, and it was a whole new world for Judy. Eventually, Judy had children with her first husband, and she says she loved those babies, but in time, she did not love the routine, and she didn't love being married like she thought she would. Her ambitions were to find a man, get married, have babies, take care of the house. Once she got what she wanted, in time she found she no longer wanted that. Now, Judy has written books on various subjects. Divorce, growing up, preteen, the changes that our body experiences, what is expected of us as young ladies when it comes to dating men, and when it comes to maintaining our reputation. Judy really leaves no stone unturned. Judy's not shy. Judy puts it all out there. And that is a good reason why Judy's books are great for adolescents, especially for the parents that just don't have it in them to explain this kind of stuff to their children. I don't think, that you should throw a book at your kid and say, here it is in a nutshell. But I do think it's a far better option than having them learn it the wrong way from the streets. So that's why I feel like Judy's books, they are really timeless classics. It really has a shelf life as far as their subject matter goes. It's still relevant today. So that's why Judy Blume's books are very, very important in today's mainstream, and especially back then. Now, back then, it was a lot more difficult to write subject matters like these topics because schools for sure wanted them banned. There was no room in any school library for books such as Judy's. Let's go back to the first marriage and talk about why and how Judy became a writer. Judy had a creative mind, and it didn't matter to her if it was writing or something else, but she just needed to be creative. She needed an outlet for that. So she started to make little picturesque scenes out of felt while her husband was at work. And then one day she took herself on the bus to New York and to Bloomingdale's and presented her little pictures to the furniture buyer there, who, she says took pity on her and said, we'll take that one and we're going to use them as samples, and we're going to pay you um, $9, and we're going to sell them for $18. And Judy could not be more ecstatic. So Judy went back home, started to produce them, and then in time Judy developed an allergy to the glue, so she had to stop that. But she was paid $350 for that endeavor. So she took that money and she bought a typewriter. And that's where her writing career began. She didn't necessarily think that, anything was going to come of it. She just thought she would try. Okay, so now Judy is starting to write books, and she enrolled in a class, that taught her how to write and the do's and the don'ts. And Judy said right off the bat she broke all of the rules, but her teacher encouraged that. And then when she completed that course, she took it again because she wasn't quite ready to not have the feedback missing from her life. So she enrolled in that course twice. By that time, she had been sending out little stories here and there that seemed to be catching on. So in time, Judy discovers that, the married life is not for her. So she asks her husband for a divorce, and she didn't have to worry about any finances, which is quite telling because it was a time where the women stayed home, took care of the children, took care of the house, and depended on their husbands financially. That was not an ideal situation for a female to find herself in, because if she found her marriage to be not what she quite thought it was going to be and wanted out, she had no money to go anywhere. And worse yet, if her husband decided he, wanted out, what was the wife to do? She had no money at all, and typically she got the children, so she was in a real pickle there. So this is a very telling part, that when Judy actually did leave her husband, she didn't need any financial support. She was, able to make ends meet all by herself. And I say, like, kudos for her, because that's not a very easy thing to do. In the book, they describe how, like, when Judy would have the kids, like maybe Monday through Friday, and then the ex-husband, the father, would have the kids on Saturday and Sunday, and he would take them to plays and dinner. And then came a time where he was like, you know what, I just can't afford to do this every weekend. So the kids had to actually get used to being around the house, and they didn't like it at first, but in time they were okay with it. Hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? So Judy, within that year of divorce, ends up meeting a man and marrying him. And quickly after marrying him, she realizes they don't really know each other. So she finds herself in a bind. She chose to marry him because she didn't think that a woman with children should be unmarried. So she wanted to be like an upstanding citizen. So she thought that was the thing to do, but she quickly found out that was not the answer. Okay, so the book mostly tells about Judy and her life experiences. And by the way, every book that Judy Blume wrote has a little bit, if not a lot, of Judy Blume laced throughout. Several of the books are actually Judy's life. Until we meet again, know that I love you. Don't let the bad days win. And when you dream, make sure you're dreaming big.